so my apologies for that. For today, I wanted to touch on a subject that I get asked many times. And before we get started, I know that the uploads have been reducing in quantity. The reason behind that is I started my university again. I'm in my 4th year, so you know I have lots of classes and I have a lot of work to do on university. So I've been a little busy with that. So that's been the main reason why I haven't been uploading as much. But right now we're in traffic, so I think it's the perfect time to do a video for you guys. Now, the subject, as I said, is something that I've been asked quite a few times, and is whether or not RSXs are reliable. Now, I already recorded a video that I'm going to be uploading soon, which is 5 things you should be on the lookout for if you're planning on buying an RSX. It could be a base model, automatic model, or a Type S. Although I think I focus more on manual cars, RSXs. But yeah, so many people ask if RSXs are reliable, and I use reliable as a very loose term, because what can be reliable for some people may not be reliable for some other people. But the short answer is yes, of course. I think Hondas are a very well recognized brand, like Toyota, for being reliable. But of course, this doesn't mean that they can't be. This doesn't mean, of course, that they can be unreliable, because they can. So it really depends on you know, how you treat your car, of course. But that goes like that with much cars. Now, why I say that the RSX is a reliable car is because RSXs tend to you know, they can get beat on a lot, and they will still be reliable. I used to beat on my car a lot. I used to constantly be opening VTEC, redlining it, and you know, if you take good care of your car and like, you know, your oil changes, oil filter changes, and you know, you make sure that everything is properly working, it's going to be a car that it's not going to be breaking down on you constantly or at all. I mean, RSXs really do take a lot of punishment. The K20 engine is very recognized for being a high revving engine, even modifying it to higher RPMs, such as my car, all the way up to 9,300 RPM. And I've seen RSXs reliably reach 10,000 RPMs comfortably. Like, it's a high revving engine. They really can take a beating. The RSX's transmission is so-so. Some of them hold a lot of power. Sometimes you may have a problem with transmission. Sometimes they may break on you, but that's when you start getting into some real good numbers. Or if you're just a bad driver, or if you do too much power shifting, which I don't recommend you do. Of course, if you want to maximize your time, you could consider doing some power shifting, but I don't recommend doing power shifting at all unless you really dominate the action of doing power shifts. In my personal experience, this is kind of a off-subject type of thing. I actually damaged my transmission once to the point where I had to lower it and install a new third gear. Every time I placed third gear, it was like it was in neutral. But that was because I beat on my car at the point that I was kind of going fast, and I'm not going to say what I was doing, of course, but I ended up damaging my transmission. Now, as I said, RSXs are very reliable cars. I have a lot of friends that have RSXs, both base and Type S, and they do take a lot of punishment, and they're very forgiving cars. The clutch, if you have a stock clutch, it's a very forgiving clutch. If you have an aftermarket clutch, they tend to stick around that playing field of being forgiving. My clutch is a stage 4 competition clutch, which is not very forgiving, but it's, you know. Anyways, RSXs are very reliable cars. Hondas in general, as people tend to say, are very reliable cars. But of course, it has to be you have to take into consideration how you take care of your car. But many people tend to ask if they're reliable cars, if they're good cars. Now, you may say I'm biased because I own one, but I'm speaking from my personal experience and my friends' experience. And when I say I have friends that have RSXs, I don't mean 2 or 3 friends. I have more than 20 or 30 friends that have RSXs, and I'm not joking when I say that. And I also know people, acquaintances that are not my friends, but they do also own RSXs, and they have treated them very well as well. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm from Puerto Rico. I created the first kind of dedicated DC5 like page as a community for DC5 owners here in Puerto Rico to meet, and that's how I have met a lot of people that own RSXs, and I constantly talk with them as what is going on with the car, how the car is doing. In my personal experience, what basically has broken down on my cars are things that tend to go bad with the time. There haven't been any major mechanical issues other than the time that I hydro-locked it, but that's my fault for having a colder intake, and basically just submerging it in a huge puddle. But mechanically, all I have had to swap out in my car, like I said, the third gear thing, that was also my fault, but I did have to replace the third gear. I did have to replace my clutch. I bought this car back in 2013, and it was the stock clutch, so it had 9 years already. So it was a really old clutch. Other thing I swapped out was the battery, and I had to replace the alternator, and that's basically it, because they're all things that come obviously from factory. Wear and tear tends to get to those type of things, but nothing major mechanical other than the time I hydro-locked it, as I said, but that was my fault. So I would definitely say the RSXs are very reliable cars, and even more so when you keep them stock. Now, you could of course do bolt-ons and even have a tune, and it will still be a reliable car, but even more so obviously if you leave it stock. They're not cars that are known to be breaking down constantly. The most that tends to go bad on RSXs is the power steering pump, which I had to also fix. I didn't replace it, I had it fixed. And those 3 or 4 things on a 12-year-old car. It's a 12-year-old car, and for being 12 years old, I bought it back 4 years ago. That's basically all the problems I've had with it. So I would really recommend you guys buy one if you're planning on doing it. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I made it long enough. I wanted to make it a little bit shorter, but I just get carried away when I start talking. So as I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be uploading that video I said about the 5 things you should be on the lookout for if you're planning on getting an RSX. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.